If you feel like no matter what you do, it's never enough, if you feel fundamentally flawed, like if people really knew you, they just wouldn't be able to love you. That's not just low self-esteem. That's something deeper. That's what we call the shame core. Hey everybody, I'm Sara Vandenburg, founder of the Tenali Healing Services. Let's dive in. Today I'm going to walk you through a simple model that I use in my practice that helps you walk through what this shame core actually looks like and where it starts. It explains how it gets built and why it affects almost every area of your life. So as you can see, at the core of this model is the precious child. The way you were when you were born. Beautiful, perfect, smelled like innocence, before life had ever been able to impact you, before you ever had to adapt. It's the way that all children are born. Precious, beautiful children. And then life happens to us. Trauma and abuse happens. And I want to remind you that trauma is not what happens to us. What happens to us could be traumatic, but trauma is what happens inside of us. It's how we change as the result of the abuse that we experience. My favorite definition of abuse is anything less than nurturing across 5 different levels. So we could be abused physically, sexually, emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually. And I think they all carry about the same amount of weight, about 20%. They're all really important. I know that in our society, a lot of times we like to maximize physical and sexual abuse while minimizing emotional, intellectual, and spiritual abuse. But in my opinion, they're all equally important. And no matter what kind of abuse you've experienced, the trauma on the inside will result in this shame core that I'm going to talk about today. Now, everybody in the world has trauma and abuse happen to them. Nobody gets away without something less than nurturing happening to them. And sometimes, children's parents apologize when they make mistakes. They put them in therapy at an appropriate age. They give them coping skills and tools that work for them to teach them how to regulate their emotions. And sometimes we don't get that. Our parents can be the best parents in the whole world, but they're not perfect. They were never going to be perfect, and that's okay. This isn't about blame, but it is about understanding where the shame core came from and what we can do about it. So for those of us that didn't get the tools that we needed to be able to work through the trauma and abuse that we experienced, again, on any of the 5 different levels, physical, sexual, emotional, intellectual, or spiritual, we develop defense mechanisms as the result of that pain. Right here now is where the wounded child response starts to develop. And this right here is where the shame core really begins to develop. Because when a child is abused by their parents, they don't learn to hate the parent. They learn to hate themselves. Child has a natural inclination to protect their parent because they have to attach to their parent for survival. So they begin using defense mechanisms to cope with everyday life. Some examples could be minimization. It wasn't that bad. It happens to everybody. Denial. The abuse didn't impact me at all. I'm fine. Or even delusion. The abuse never happened. Nothing bad ever happened to me. And then on the more extreme side, we have repression, the unconscious forgetting about traumatic events. The brain decides, this is too painful, I'm not going to remember this, and so we just forget. This can cause memory gaps. Suppression, the conscious intention to forget something that happened. This was so bad, I'm going to put it in a box, and I'm never going to open the box again. I'm never going to come back to it. I'm never going to talk about it again. And then we forget about it. Or dissociation. Dissociation is the checking out or pushing it down. This is too hard to feel right now. I'm just going to push this down inside me. These are just some of the ways that your brain kept you functioning. And over time, these defense mechanisms turned into the family role that you played within your family system. So there's no exact science or rule to this. There's a lot of nuances that could change this completely. However, in general, the firstborn child becomes the hero. The good or perfect one, the responsible one, overachieving to earn worth. The second-born becomes the scapegoat, the bad, rebellious one. They're the ones who tend to carry all of the blame of the family. The third one becomes the lost child, the forgotten child, the one who goes to their room, shuts the door, and lives in their imagination. And the fourth child becomes the mascot, the class clown, the one who brings comedic relief to the family. These roles aren't inherently about your personality. They were about what you needed to become to survive in your family system. Now, these roles don't just disappear when you get older. These family system roles helped you develop into the adult roles that you would play in society today. Adults generally take on roles such as the victim, the enabler, the perfectionist, the caretaker, the performer, the rescuer, and now it doesn't feel like a role. It feels like your personality, and just the way things have always been, because it is how it's always been. When these roles become overwhelming, and the shame core is still there, this requires regulating on some level. This is where addictions, personality disorders, eating disorders, and mental health diagnoses all come into play. These were never random problems. These were always just attempts that your brain made to try to cope with the trauma that you'd been carrying since you were little, 3, 4 years old. So if you've been trying to fix the external, your behaviors, your habits, the things that you do, your behaviors, your actions, your relationships, and it just never feels like enough, it's because the root of the original pain, abuse, and trauma never got dealt with. And you don't heal shame by fixing the outside, by fixing the external. You have to look inside. You heal the shame core by going back and becoming that precious child again. You can do this by writing a letter to that child with your dominant hand, and then allowing them to respond back to you with your non-dominant hand. Tell them everything that you wish that they had heard, everything that you know they needed to hear. Tell them you love them, tell them you came back for them, tell them you cherish them. Say your affirmations looking at yourself in the mirror. Practice acceptance and forgiveness every time you make a mistake. Mistakes are human, they happen, they're going to happen. It's okay that I made a mistake. And practice visualization. Pick up that precious baby that you once were and look down and say, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you didn't get what you needed. But I'm here for you. And I'm never going to leave you. This process of reparenting is one of the most powerful things that we can do for ourselves in healing that internal shame core. There's nothing wrong with who you are at your core. What you're dealing with is just what happened to you and how you adapted from it. If this helped you understand yourself or see yourself differently, go ahead and put a comment down in the comment section. I'd love to read your stories, and also let me know what you'd like to learn about next.